Hey everyone, Blank Dash here, and today we are going to be discussing about how you can configure your Windows terminal to run a penetration testing distribution like Kali Linux. And we are also going to be focusing on how you can get a graphical user interface. David has a nice video on Ubuntu's GUI. You can check that out. But we're going to be doing pretty much something similar to this to get the Kali Linux GUI, and we're also going to focus on the Windows terminal and the configuration. As you can see, I am running Windows PowerShell, and then the command prompt, which is in a completely different theme, and then also the ASCII query from Linux. I stop this. You can see if I do cat proc version, you can see that it is a Linux distribution, and you'll be able to pretty much run any Linux commands in it. It looks pretty neat for someone who loves terminal a lot. And if you are someone who spends a lot of time only in terminal and you don't need GUI, this is something to look after. And we also have this GUI. So in case if you need the GUI access, you can log into the GUI and work with it, right? This is a very limited edition of Kali Linux, so you won't be having every single tool, but yeah, this does exist. In case if you need GUI, this is something that you can, you know, work into. So let's discuss how you can do this. So all you have to do is go to this Microsoft Store. So you can install it, and once you click on install, it's going to install. I already have it installed, so we can go with it. The other thing is you need to have Windows subsystem for Linux in order to run Linux in it, right? So if you kind of check the Microsoft documentation to install Windows subsystem for Linux, it's pretty much it. All you need to do is run these commands, and it's going to install Windows subsystem for Linux in your device. You can copy that, and all you have to do is open your terminal or the PowerShell, run as administrator. You just have to paste them here. Once that's done, we also have to go ahead and enable the virtual machine platform so that it works fine. So copy that, open your PowerShell, paste that in. Now the next thing that you have to do is install Kali Linux in your device. So open your Microsoft Store and search for Kali Linux. Install it. Once you have it installed, you would find it in your application menu. I already have it installed, so I'll be opening it. Let's open this your Kali Linux terminal. It does look pretty ugly out of the box, but we can configure it in such a way that we'll be able to work with it. Okay, the first thing first, what we have to do is to make sure that the system is up to date, right? Sudo -i to jump into the root user, input the username and password that you configured while setting it up. Now just run apt get update upgrade -5. This is going to make sure that your device is up to date. Once this is done, you need to make sure that you have a desktop environment installed in your Kali Linux so that you'll be able to log into it. So post which, what we can actually do is copy this and pretty much install all of the things that I mentioned here. So it's going to be, once that's done, hit enter. It's going to install. I already have it installed now, so it's taking a relatively less amount of time for me. Once you have all of that installed, what you have to do is to make sure that you have RDP installed. So we'll be using XRDP and XORG for this. So in order to do that, just do apt get install XRDP-5, which basically is going to install RDP client in your device. You can see that it's installed as well. What we'll do is we'll clear the screen. Okay. The next thing that we have to do is to take a look into the RDP folder, and you would see something called XRDP INI. So this is really, really important, and maybe like let me make the text a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is a little important. You need to back this up, just in case if something goes wrong. We will we will use this as a backup. So what we'll do is we'll say copy xc xrdp xrdp.ini, and then what we can do is paste it in the same folder. So we can call it backup. Once that's done, we can see that we have the backup created, so that we'll be able to work with the xrdp.ini. So we will be making modifications to the configuration file. So what we'll do is do -i s3389 3390. You can literally go for any port, something like um, whichever port is going to support. 3389 is Microsoft's RDP, so we are just switching the port to 3390 g/xc xrdp, and we need to add this to the configuration file, which is xrdp.ini. You can see that's set. We'll do set-i s max bpp. This was actually a suggestion which enables a good rendering of the screen. Max bpp equals 32 and max bpp equals 128. This just promotes a higher quality when you do an RDP session visually. So you can see that has been added. The last thing that we need to do is set-i s x server bpp equals 24 x server bpp equals 24, and then do nx server bpp equals 128 /g, and we can do it on xc xrdp and xrdp.ini. Once that's done, we basically would echo xf c4 session into the x sessions file, which is located in the home directory. So what this is going to do is, basically for the xfce configuration, we might have to edit the start wm.sh, which is located in xrd. So what we're doing here is we're going to edit the start wm file, which is located in xrdp file. Whenever RDP is launched, we are basically going to tell it to launch it through the xfce, right? So once you log in, you just need to comment out these lines. Your configuration file should look something like this. So you have to add a command to test-x the line, and basically the x11 session, because we're going to be using the xorg, and we are also going to do a command and ex easy /bin bash x11, and then we'll add these couple of lines, which is xfce and start xfce4. So what happens here is when you connect through RDP, this is going to allow you to log into the xfce environment. Save that and exit. Once that's done, all you need to do is start your RDP. init.d/xrdp start. So this is going to start the RDP session, and now we'll be able to log in. So in order to log into your Kali Linux device, all you have to do is open the RDP protocol, RDP client in your device. and you can type in localhost and the port that you configured. In this case, it's 3390, right? And click on connect. Yes, and we are greeted with this. So what we'll do is we can type in the username and password. So you can see that we have Kali Linux running in this device. You can pretty much do everything, like basic uh, terminal access. You'll be able to access all of the tools that are pre-installed and stuff. This is a very basic installation of Kali Linux. You won't really find a lot here, but for someone who doesn't use a lot of GUI, and if you think that GUIs is just an option for you, then this is something that you can consider. However, I'm just going to stop with the GUI as far as here, because pretty much you can configure your device however you want from here on. What I'm going to take a look into is the Windows terminal. Now once all of this is done, you would find your Windows terminal, right? So in this case, I have my Windows terminal configured here. You can see the PowerShell. I can open command prompt. You can see the theming of command prompt is different, and I can use Kali Linux. So once pretty much all of this is done, you would find Kali Linux in here. So if you don't, we have to do something about it. But let's see what happens if you do not have Kali Linux in it. So all you have to do is you would find the settings, click on settings. This is going to open the JSON configuration file. You basically see this configuration file, and if you read through the configuration file, you can see that for command prompt, this says it's basically launching cmd.exe, and the name is command prompt. This particular name is nothing but which is displayed here, right? When you click on here, it says command prompt. That is the name that it displays here, and the command that is running when you click on it is basically this cmd.exe. Very similar to this, once we install Kali Linux, we have something called kali.exe. So all you have to do in order to run Kali Linux, or maybe like if you launch Kali Linux through your terminal, what happens is it's running this exe file.kali, right? Kali.exe. And you can see that now I'm into a bash shell, which is Kali Linux, right? Uname -a. You can see this is the Linux device. I can run Linux commands like ls-la and so on. So I'm officially into the Kali Linux file system. So what we'll do here is, if I exit, in order to add Kali Linux here, if this is not added by default, if you want to add it, all you have to do is open this settings file, copy this, right? The entire thing including the bracket, just copy that and paste it at the end of the config file. Make sure you add a comma here and remove this comma, and what you have to do is change this to kali.exe. You also need a GUID. We have to get this GUID from your device, right? So if you do not have a GUID, it's not an issue. It's going to automatically change, and you also can change this name, something like, right? And now you save this file. Once you save this file, if you go ahead to the Windows terminal, you would find something called hello world. So when you click on hello world, what it actually does is it's launching Kali Linux. You can see um, uname -a. Now this should be done only if uh, you know if this Kali Linux is not added by default. Otherwise, you're fine. Once that's done, what we'll do is we basically have to theme it. You can see my PowerShell looks something like this, which is blue and white. My command prompt looks white, and I have my Kali Linux, which is on a different color scheme. I love this color scheme. This is like pretty good, right? So in order to do this, in order to add this color scheme, Windows terminal has by default a lot of color schemes. So you would find the official documentation from Microsoft. and you have a bunch of color schemes, right? So the color schemes that we have is Campbell, which looks like this, Campbell PowerShell, which is basically something that I have for my PowerShell, Vintage, one half dark, one half light, Tango dark, and so on. So you basically have a bunch of different color schemes. If you want this particular color scheme to be set for maybe like a Kali Linux or something like that, all you have to do is copy that, right? Copy the name, go to your Windows terminal, right? So let's say that right now I have this color scheme. Let's say that I want to switch to Tango dark, right? Let's copy that, open the Windows terminal. Now go to the settings, and you would find a line called you'd find a line called color scheme. If you do not find a line called color scheme, add it here, just like this, add it here, color scheme, instead of whatever is there. In this case, one half light, we'll say Tango dark, right? And make sure to add this command, save this file. Once that's done, if you see here in this case, my Kali Linux is in a Tango dark color, right? So completely Tango dark color. We can also do this by let's open this hello world program. You can see it's completely Tango dark. So let's say that I wanted to change to a different color scheme, like one half dark. All you have to do is copy the name, go to the configuration file, and uh, wait, and paste it over here. Now you can see the color scheme has been changed to one half dark. So that's pretty much it. So once you have a pretty neat terminal, you can start working with it. The terminal is pretty good. I like it. Right, the terminal is pretty good. It's really fast, and one of the things that you have to notice is when running Kali Linux, all of your drives have been mounted automatically, which is your C drive, E drive, D drive, and so on. So basically, all of my local drives, like uh, the C, D, and E, they are all mounted to the Kali Linux device, which means you will be able to access them through Kali Linux. So this is something that you have to consider. It has both advantages and disadvantages. But if you're just looking for a very minimal terminal for your workflow, this could be something that you wanted to check out, right? So that's it. If you guys like the content that I create, please do support, like and subscribe maybe. Uh, and I suppose I'll be doing more of these later on. Mostly it's going to be based on Windows, how you can configure Windows, and a lot of security aspects, in a Windows-based device.